Hello, the lovely John has got better things to do, so he's sent me out here to Slovenia of all places. It's in the former Yugoslavia to test this Yamaha's Tracer 9 GT Plus. Now, I'm not going into massive detail just yet about the features of this bike. All I will say is it is massively tech laden, more so than any other sports bike on the market when it comes to the sort of permutations all the electronic wizardry offer. We're going to ride it on some, so I'm promised, brilliant roads of very differing sort of nature. The weather's forecast to be very good. The views from, so I'm told, are quite something to behold. I think it's going to be a pretty good test of the bike. We're going to do about 230 miles. Hopefully I'll get a good idea what it's like. And yeah, come with me and let's see what this bike has to offer. So the orders are: sit down, grab yourself a beverage, and Chopsy, roll that intro.
So let's just talk a little bit about the Tracer, mate. So
yes.
You've obviously ridden previous versions
I have
of the
a
Tracer
lot, actually,
9. Yeah, you've been on various launches, I suspect, in the past, and maybe even done a few more miles on than that over your many years of motoring journalism. So what was your first impressions of this? I know it's a very complicated bike, isn't it? So let's start.
Good
let's
word.
Go.
Right, I'm at the press conference going, Jesus, man. I mean, I'm running out of ink trying to write stuff down. There's so much to learn, and that was really apparent the next day. I got on the bike, there's buttons everywhere, there's options to choose from, and I was really frustrated that I couldn't quite get it right, you know. And I actually said to myself at one point, a day is not enough. There's no chance of learning everything I need to about this bike. And to a degree I was right, but by the end of the day, the frustration had gone. I'd learned what the key buttons do and how to get the best from the bike. And believe you me, there are choices to make to get the best from it, you know. Here we have an array of Yamaha's new... Hang on, I'm panicking here because I'm short of time. This is Pascal. He's Dutch, but he's all right.
Automatic?
Yeah.
Manual, you can see it here.
Ah, yeah.
It's manual, and when you push one,
yeah.
it's automatic.
Yeah, okay. This. Yeah. You see this? You see that? Right, I think to say this bike is, or has the potential at least, to be super complex is a bit of an understatement. How do I put it in gear then?
Just push it, pull it,
yeah, okay.
That's an automatic.
Alright. See you later. Yes, let's see if I can remember how to ride a motorbike. As I say, as the day wore on, and it was the gearbox that I learned to get the best from. And do you know what? I've got the DCT on my NT1100 long-termer, and I've got quite a bit of experience of auto boxes now, but that is easily the best one. And can I say, before we go into detail, it's a performance aid. I think there's always going to be connotations between lazy, slow, old guys who just want the easier option to press a button. The fact of the matter is, you can race through the box in a fashion that you can't match with your feet and hands, and certainly can't match quite as accurately, you know. Definitely best in sport. I do like this engine now. I mean, it doesn't quite have the absolute punch off the bottom end as a twin, but it's involving and worth revving because you get, just look at that, you get real reward from it. The automatic gearbox is getting a 10 from me. Oh, it's having a 9.9. It's slightly jerky on occasion, but the rest of it is just really quite something. But until you see it on an R1 or equivalent, I think it's always going to be viewed as a bit of a lazy old man's way out. You know, there's always a chance when you try to go down a few gears in a big hurry with a normal clutch and foot operation, you can just start messing things up a bit and just sort of unbalance the bike. This never does that because it's so slick. You know, the attitude of the bike and the weight distribution is always going to be the same and consistent. I'm always happy to change gear mid-corner, however hard I'm riding it, you know. I think it's a real winner, and I wish, I talked to another journo last night actually who's used it on track. Okay. And he said that's where you really see it at its very best, you know.
Because I guess you can have your feet positioned without having to worry about
exactly. You just stay there. That's all you need, you know. Well, and that one, yeah. Definitely better than the gearbox, this one. Just so much faster and less fuss. You can't change down too much. Oh, got the old rear wheel squealing a bit there. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Right, should we try a pass? Probably a bit cheeky, stroke ambitious, stroke dangerous, stroke regrettable. I think all the boys at Silverstone now, because let's face it, MotoGP's on this weekend, if you gave them that option on their bike, and you can't at the moment because it's outside the rules, every single one of them would take it. See the F1 guys with the paddles, you know? They're at it, aren't they? There's a good reason why, you know, I'm raving about it, and I'm hoping there's a good reason why we'll see more and more bikes fitted with it, and hopefully sort of even more sportier bikes than this, you know? Yeah. If you put it on a sexy R1 or a Blade or something, I think you'd really sell it. Yeah, okay. Because when they first announced the Plus and they said it was only available with the automatic option, I was like, well, hang on a minute. I don't mind having it as an option on bikes, but when you're forced to have it, I was a little bit like, I'm not sure I like that. Yeah. But I've ridden it as well, just not that far. But it definitely goes with that bike, doesn't it? I can see why they've put it on as a standard, because it works very well with all the other tech and everything that bike's got. I think this is a very good bike, but I think it's massively enhanced by that gearbox. Yeah. And the more you ride it in the greater number of different circumstances, I think the more you'll appreciate it, you know. I mean, you've probably done sort of just run-of-the-mill stuff so far. Yeah. So get yourself over to Slovenia. Yeah. I'll show you the route. I missed the opportunity for that. And yeah, it was a good place to really enjoy it. However, can I say another thing about it? I could go on for quite some time. One part of the operation that it really is a lot better than Honda's DCT is at very slow speed, you know. Yeah. We stopped in some services for a refill, and I just got on a bit of gravel, you know, and honestly, you can just ride it down to less than 1 mile an hour. The biting point of the clutch is lovely. It's making it speed up a bit there. Let's try it in D. Yeah, it'd be interesting to take this on a bit of a gravel road. I don't feel the need to go for the clutch. There you go. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Right, heated grips. Look at this, man. What is YRC, I wonder? Yeah, I mean, one other thing I learned about it as well is selecting the right option. This was an ego-based depression that I went through. Do you know what? There was a couple of other journos, Chris Eads from 44 Teeth and Carl Stevens from MCN, and they were leaving me behind, man, initially. And I'm just going, honestly, I got a bit down about it. I went, I've lost the plot here. I can't do this anymore. Anyway, it was because I was in one of the auto settings. Basically, you've got D, which is the sort of the most, how can we put it? That's the most easygoing setting, if you like. When you're not in a hurry, It's an auto setting. It changes gear, but at quite low RPM, you know. Then if you put it in D+, which I did, I started making a lot more headway because it lets it rev more before it changes up. And it stiffens the suspension as well, and it changes, it doesn't change the engine braking, but it changes the power generally. You get a sportier version. However, it was only at the first coffee stop where I was earwigging Chris, who said, oh, you've got to use manual. So I thought, sorry, let's put it in sport. Let's just do everything on the thumb. And I decided how much I wanted to rev it and when I wanted to change down. And suddenly I could keep up. And my ego was restored. Exactly, yeah, I mean, even the Yamaha indicator switch is going to require some familiarisation with. I mean, look at this switchgear here. There are so many buttons to press, and you're not doing that without knowledge and experience, really. For it to become instinctive, I think is going to take quite a while. Oh, look at that. Bet that's a bit parky in their mind. Incredible neck of the woods. Incredible. Good steering, man. Good brakes, good suspension, good protection. I do believe we have arrived in Austria. Can I see your papers? Yeah, Jeff Turner says that the AI associated with the hang on, let's just get this hairpin out of the way, shall we? Yeah, the AI, let's get the next hairpin out of the way, associated with the auto box. It learns within about 10 minutes what your preferences are and adjusts the timing of the changes appropriately. Don't mind admitting I'm getting dropped here. Mind you, it's funny, isn't it? You go from sort of tipping it over thinking, oh, you know, I wonder where the limit is and I wonder if I'll get this over much further. You get familiar and you go, heavy, and you just start slamming it about. Funny, I wouldn't mind a bit more ground clearance now. Familiarity makes a massive difference to riding any particular bike. If I had a quid for every time I said wow to the scenery, I wouldn't be flying home tonight, I'd be flying to Monaco. Just be careful. Where it's very easy there. This is me down the sort of territory, this I think. Okay, no, that was a bit hard to figure. Look at that, man! Amazing! It's my sort of bike, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
look,
definitely your sort of bike.
Yeah, pannier standard.
Yeah,
I'm sounding the right old bugger here. Probably because I am.
Yeah.
But stuff like Big Tank Range, you know, it's a travelling bike.
Yeah.
And that was something Yamaha were quite keen to underline as well. It's a sports tourer, but they're trying to sort of boost the touring side of things a bit.
I rode it up this morning, and when I've ridden one of these previously, I've always said it's very sport. It's one of the sportier of the sports tourers, where they do seem to have dialed back the sport slightly and brought a bit more refinement, maybe, to it. I
would say they've added more touring. I mean, I felt good once I'd sussed it to ride it pretty hard, you know. Certainly got a sporting element to it, but I think they just wanted it to be. I mean, they've changed the screen. Stuff like those matrix headlights. Yeah. I think they're just trying to make it an even more versatile
How did you find the screen? Because that's something which a lot of people complain about with buffeting and...
totally okay. I pressed the right button, got it to the right height.
Because it's electric now as
well,
isn't it?
Was that the case before?
No, it was definitely manual.
Right, okay.
So that's a new thing, the electric screen.
Yeah. Right, let's see. We've had a cappuccino and some sort of calorie-laden, sweetie, fantastic thing, and I'm ready to go now for the next, I think we've got about 120 odd miles before luncheon. Yeah, I like it. Still perplexed by many of the buttons, but learning. And I've also learned one important thing: you can override the auto function at any point, so if it's not changing up or down quite as you prefer, you can hit buttons and do it for it. Right, let's go shopping. I forgot how to bloody do this. Right, okay. Keyless, which is good. It's got central locking on the panniers. I don't know if I'm repeating anything here because there's so much to remember. Right, I'm in manual. I'm quite impressed by that initial bite. Of course, I don't know if I've got maximum power in this mode yet. In fact, I don't know about many things yet. Look at that, eh? Look at that. That was not built in an afternoon, that there mountain. No, that's
now I think you need to press that button again now.
Yeah,
I've been trying to play. You've got to pull that right up and then press the button and then try and...
Oh, here we go.
It's not overly easy. It's not overly easy.
Imagine, it's always easier from the second to... Yeah, look at that, man.
That ain't
No, nothing's going in there, is it?
Nah, they're not quite deep enough to put a helmet
no, I mean, look, they've got central locking on them. And they've got a lovely little courtesy light. You, for some reason, don't have that. You're obviously flying economy on this one.
I've got an early one. I think that's something they fit at PDI, and Yamaha didn't have them yet. That's why.
So centrally locked and illuminated panniers come as standard, but they don't fit a helmet. I mean, I guess you'd have to have one of those little cycle style helmets, wouldn't you, or open facer? But that, no, never in a million years.
Not going in there, is it?
Definitely not.
Oh, this is the little cubby thing, I think, isn't it?
It is,
for
yeah.
Your phone.
And you open it from the inside, I think.
Yeah, it's there. That's it. Got it. And that's got a charger and like a bit of foam to rest your phone in there.
Yeah, centre stand, quite chuffed with that. And the ground clearance as well was such that you never caught that.
You never had the touchdown or
Well,
anything.
I didn't. Just the hero blobs.
Just the hero blobs.
But in fact, I'm going to do an inspection there. It's still unmarked.
I've ridden down the motorway here.
You're fired. You must have gone round some roundabout, surely.
I'm not touching the hero. It's pretty wet this morning, have you know?
Can't get the stuff, can you? Just can't get the stuff. Now, is the seat adjustable?
That's a good question. You'd have been on the launch, mate, not
well,
me.
It's funny though. There simply wasn't enough time. Yeah, I'm good with the riding position. I'm good with the smoothness of the motor. I mean, that was a bit.
How close are you to the ground? How tall are you?
Don't ask me such embarrassing questions. I'm 5'6.5".
5'6".
About 30.
Can you flat foot though? You can't quite flat foot.
I'll tell you the problem with it, and this is true on some bikes. Sometimes the footrests get in the way, don't they? I'd rather be.
I find the V-Strom like that. The pegs are right under where your feet want to be.
I mean, you know,
it's not bad though, is it?
Listen, I managed with it. It's fine. I certainly wouldn't call it enduro bike tall, you know. And just to give you an example of how difficult it was, I looked at this switchgear to begin with and I just went, man alive, how am I going to note all this, you know? By the end of the ride, everything was quite nicely in place.
What does that do there?
Cruise control.
What about that one?
That's your menu, I think.
That one?
That's to set the cruise control.
He does know what he's talking about.
And all that sort of helps you with the menu. The only thing I never quite get used to is this Yamaha indicator switch.
Yeah, that's the new...
What do we think about it? I mean,
I actually quite like it now.
Okay, all right.
But it's another level of complexity when you jump on the bike, isn't it? It's like even the indicators are weird.
That is essential on my bikes. A range, particularly if it's going to be as good as that. Have you just filled up when you got here?
I've just filled up, yeah. I've just filled up.
One thing that they quite cleverly did in the press conference is say, and make a point of this, this is aimed at mid to high earners. I think they're just
justifying the price.
Exactly. It's £17,004. The 4 comes from the raising of road tax at one particular point. Yeah, you'd think they'd just try to incorporate that.
It's a lot of money.
I just don't know about the price of bikes these days. They all seem ridiculously expensive, you know.
One thing I've found with the Tracer is, you know, it's got all this tech, it's got all these features, and even at £17,000, it's the cheapest bike you can buy, which has all of that tech on it.
All right,
so,
that qualifies it a bit then, yeah.
But I'm not sure whether that engine is refined enough to be in a £17,000 motorcycle. How did you find the engine on the trip? I know it makes good power and it's a good motor.
Quite like the balance, actually. I mean, when I do that these days, because I'm a big fan of parallel twins, and because this is an inline triple, and it just doesn't give me that bang to begin with. I went, but I do like the rush it gives up top, and once I'd sort of tuned into it and got familiar and happy with how it made its power, I did like it. I did like that mix of sort of usability and excitement, you know. It will pull a bigger gear at lower RPM, but if you spin it a bit, which you must in order to get the absolute best from it, there's quite a rush. I think one of the problems with this bike is it was originally associated with a sort of budget sector a bit more, wasn't it? And that's how we see it. And suddenly, when you start adding big numbers behind the pound sign, you might want to question it a bit. And because it only makes 117 horsepower, you might be...
Hey.
You're fired! Did we get that?
We would have that when it comes.
There's been a drinking accident.
That's Mossy's empties.
Yeah, could have been a lot worse, that, couldn't it? We might have been down on our knees right now, licking the car park. Do you know what? If that made 150 horsepower, you might suddenly go, "Oh yeah, that's worth it." Listen, it's enough.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's trying to pretend that it's a full-on sports bike, you know. And look, the ultimate test is someone on the back and loads of stuff in the panniers and doing 2 weeks in Europe. But for that launch, I was more than happy with the engine. I mean, they know what they're doing, these manufacturers. They bring you here to put you in a good mood and see the bike in its best light. This is a very different sort of ride to a wet and windy, generally miserable run round the north of England somewhere in the cooler months. Yeah, just slipped it down a gear there, which is just right for this speed. Right, down another one there, down one more. You know, way better. Look at that. If that doesn't befit the adjective magnificent, I don't know what does. Bloody marvellous. That's been running a bit rich, I would say, that there hoose. Look at that. So clean, man. I mean, our nation is just a tip by comparison. Oh, look at that, bit of litter. Phone the Prime Minister. I'm quite impressed with things like handguards, though. I think that helps. Centre stand.
Centre stand's a good option, isn't it?
Good for the old...
absolutely. And you've got that fancy chain whereby...
Yeah,
it's
low
like
maintenance.
the BMW one, but low maintenance, DLC coated, I think they call it, so it doesn't wear as much.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
There's your £17,000 then.
Take the chain off, it'd be 14 grand.
Makes a proper nice noise as well when you spin it. There's nothing quite like the sound of a triple. How coincidental is that? Just as I said that, Moto 2 bikes are out.
Can you hear that? It is MotoGP day, it's the Saturday. I've actually got a pass, mate, so I'm off in a minute to watch a bit of racing. Sorry, mate, I've only got the one, I'm afraid.
It's all right, it's all right. I'll be thinking of you, even if you're not going to be thinking of me.
I'll try and get on the telly. We'll see, I'm on the telly.
It's a good day when you can... Fucking hell, man. I thought that was going to be a bit iffy there for a second. I think, I don't know whether the front brake could be a bit better. I mean, listen, I'm asking too much of it. I'm trying to bloody ride it like a sports bike. Yeah, I mean, they might have claimed that they are pushing more towards the tourer side in the balance of this sports tourer, but it doesn't mean to say you can't ride it in a sporty fashion. It's a goer. Came round. Hello, ladies. That was a disapproving look if ever I got one.
So how did you find the tech on the bike? Because I know on the BMW where you went down to Marbella in the south of Spain, you struggled. I know you struggle a little bit with all this tech on bikes.
No, I mean,
not that you don't like it, but just to get used to it all.
Yeah,
what it all does.
I don't know if struggle's a fair word.
I think it is.
Bastard. My analysis is perhaps more in depth, and therefore I need more time in order to fully appreciate these features. The adaptive cruise control, right, here's a funny thing. In essence, it works well, you know, it's controlling your distance from the stuff in front. But occasionally when the stuff in front suddenly moves out the way, the bike, you know, particularly if it's set on a fairly high cruise speed, can suddenly accelerate and give the wrong impression and sort of start doing things that you'd prefer it didn't do. Yet, the other day I had my cruise control on my NT1100 and I was closing on things and I'm going, where's me adaptive? Where's me radar? So you can't have it all ways, I guess, you know. I mean, ultimately, you can't let the bike decide everything for you. You've got to be there just in case. I mean, there's an anti-collision device as well that's obviously influenced by the radar. You start homing in on stuff too quickly without realising it. It first rolls off, then it gets on the brakes.
Did you have that come on at all, the flashing up about the collision stuff?
Nah, come on, credit me with a bit of bloody ability, for God's sake. Just shows how important gear choice is, really. There's some sort of slightly minor mods they've made that they didn't sort of go so big on, and it would probably be too difficult to notice anyway. The frame's got a different sort of headstock arrangement and a different cross member. I'm pretty sure to alter the flex of the chassis to give more feel. I was fine with that on previous traces, but it would be interesting to know. I think only those boys bobbing around Silverstone at the moment.
You'd have to back it probably to be able to even...
At Silverstone, on it.
Yeah, you may just think, hang on, isn't it?
Electronically controlled suspension, I'm a fan of that, but there's only two key settings, you know, A1 and A2, A1 being the firmer, ready for sort of more sportier riding. However, there is a myriad of damping settings that you can adjust, but you can only adjust them via the Yamaha My Ride app.
Oh.
So you download that into your phone, and then, you know, while you're having a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah. Did you try the app?
Nah, too much grief.
Too much grief.
They quite cleverly actually put, because it's got phone connectivity, and towards the latter part of the ride, we had a little phone in the glove compartment, and they'd connected that, so I could use the, you know, is it a 7-inch TFT? Yeah. Certainly a 5 or a 7. It's quite big.
Big job,
so there was a good chance to see where we were going.
And that's all free now, isn't it? Because you used to have to be signed up to the Garmin subscription service, I think on the new Yamahas that's all just included now.
Certainly connected with a phone we had.
You need the phone to be able to really tune any damping settings.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of custom modes, isn't there? So
there
I guess
is.
That's part of the custom.
Yeah. Like I say,
tuning.
you know, if I had this for, I think you probably have to own it. You need it as a long term.
I'm telling you now, you would not have that app on your phone. I know what you're like with tech. There's no way you would put that app on and go and tune your suspension. It's not going to happen. I
might just for that. Well, I'll tell you the danger. Well, I'll tell you the danger of not doing it. You never discover how life could be. You know, how good it could be or not. But yeah, I don't know. Once you get in that zone of general satisfaction, I just say sod it. You know,
that's enough.
Low speed control on this bike is way better than the Honda system. Way better. Just feels natural. You just go about it in the same way without having to do anything.
Someone of your age.
That's my sidekick. Fucking, I wish I could fucking kick him to the side. The Honda you have to make allowances for. This you do not. Look, just fucking perfect, man. Look at it. You know, this is gravelly shit that you just do not want to have problems with, and it's easy. Just, you know, everything on the throttle, no bother at all. Proper. Blind spot detectors on the mirrors. There's a radar at the back detecting traffic and illuminating the little orange warning.
Did you get a chance to try that out?
You can see when stuff's going by.
I guess when Chris and Carl Stevens were coming past you on the twisties, it was like, you know.
I was always behind them initially. I'll have you know, I was all right in the end. Right, are we in second or first? Yeah, stab at the button, the job's just done and dusted. Oh, fucking hell. That was a bit, I lost the ground there. The ground leapt away from my wheels. Perhaps a reminder that respect needs to be maintained. But it's just making this sort of road where gear changing is regular, especially if you need to get past a bit of traffic, just so much easier and stress relieving. It's been a bit of a long day and I'm tired, but this is just making decision making so much easier. Fucking hell, this is like being at Oliver's Mount. I don't know if you can see the screen on the sat-nav there, but it's certainly suggesting lots more of this. Right, hit the button the wrong way there. Full. Again, massive speed range because of the breadth of power. But no, like I say, I liked it, but that gearbox really won me over. Yeah. Really clever bit of kit. And I like the fact that it was as good for the really sort of flat out stuff, but also when you were just crawling in town and on gravel or whatever. You know, you come into a pub car park, yeah, particularly if you're new to a clutchless system, and you might worry. On this, less. Well, I didn't worry at all. Yeah. Whereas on my Hondas, I've always been a bit weary. I mean, that could have been a bit tricky on well, it would have been a bigger deal, I think, on a normal gearbox bike. It's just like walls of mountains. Yeah, I think in short, Tracer 9 GT Plus, very good. YAMT gearbox, bloody exceptionally good, and it helps carry the bike generally to a new level. Impressivo. Look, it's not a sports bike. You know, nobody's saying it's 180 kilos. What is the actual figure anyway?
Is it 232?
Is it?
232. Yeah. Fully fueled. Yeah. No, I was all right with it. with it. I think, you know, judging it for the purpose which it's been designed to perform, fine. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. As I said, I will be following up with a UK road test of this bike, and we will get to test out the headlights at night time and all of that.
I'm interested to see what you feel about it.
On that. But because that's one of the, I'm surprised I didn't test it on the launch, because that is almost like one of the key features of this new model, isn't it? Is these fancy.
So what would you? Well, instead of drinking, we should have been out driving. I mean, come on! You're never ever going to be hosting a bike launch if I've got anything to do.
Guys, we're going out. It's 9 o'clock at night. We're going out on the bikes now.
Longer tunnels, perhaps.
Yeah.
But then again, you know, listen, certain things you can never really test a bike, test on a bike just on a launch, and that was one of them.
That's one of the things. But so I hope you've enjoyed the video. That's a huge thanks to Mossy. There will be more stuff coming on the Tracer. We're also doing a bit more together as well. We've got Hornet comparisons with the GSX S to come very soon, which is quite an interesting one. So stay tuned to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, press that subscribe button, like the videos. It helps with the YouTube gods and all of that stuff.
Do it!
Do it now. If you haven't done it, do it now. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye now. Yeah, it's got unfortunate connotations, I think, to the auto box world. Look, F1 guys don't have it for no reason. They have it to be faster. I mean, I'm just changed gear for the hell of it now because it's so good. Yeah, you change gear more often and more appropriately because you can. There's none of this, I can't be bothered, let's leave it in the wrong gear and let the engine pull me out of it. Can't believe how differently I feel about this bike. All the things that frustrated me first thing, once I got to learn and become familiar with, really enhanced the ride, big style.